Hi and welcome, I'm Conrad. I'm just going to show you a quick trick here with our HDRIs. So I have downloaded one of the free 2K sequences that you can find on our website. So this one is 180 frames of across the day, about 7 hours. And you can see here that towards the end of the sequence, the nighttime frames are not as dark as you might expect, not at least from a camera's point of view. If you were standing on the top of this mountain, it would look similar to what you see here, but that's because our pupils are dilating and we're absorbing more light. So the reason we do this is it makes it easier to review these images on the website. But sometimes you might want to actually replicate the experience of a sunset as the camera sees it rather than as a human would. So what you'll notice is that down in the bottom right here, we have a little text overlay that says the exposure is modified by 8.40 EVs to aid visual review. Now, if I go a few frames further, you can see that this value is changing up to a maximum of 16 EVs. So what we want to do here is we want to reverse that exposure offset. Thankfully, all of this metadata is stored in the file itself, along with a whole lot of other information that's really handy. So here we have our EV offset, which is this value printed here. We've also got the sun azimuth, the cloud cover, elevation of the sun, frame number, etc. So all we have to do to reverse this exposure offset out is to add an exposure node in Nuke, connect it up, come to the adjust option and change it to stops, which is where we now adjust things in exposure values. And we're going to set an expression for the red here. So we're going to put down some square brackets and we're going to type metadata space exr slash mp underscore ev underscore offset. So we're basically saying, look at the metadata of the pipe that this is connected to and find the EXR MP EV offset key, which is here. And then if we close that bracket, we get the value here. So in order to reverse this out, we need to make the value negative. So we'll put a minus sign in the start. And now what we need to do is just hold control and we'll drag and click this red value down to the blue and green. And now when we view our exposure output, we can see now when we play through this sequence that we have adjusted the exposure values so that they reflect the camera's perspective of the scene, holding a constant on the aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. So this will allow you to do a physically accurate sunset in any 3D software. So from here, we can write this out as a new EXR sequence, which has that exposure offset removed. If you only have a single frame, you can just do these exposure value offsets manually by plugging in the numbers. You can do that in Photoshop or any other software. If you don't have access to Nuke, there is Natron, which is a free Nuke alternative. However, even though the files come in with the information here under the file info, there's currently no way to actually control a grade node based on that information. The most recent activity that I've seen was from Frederick Devaney, who says that unless somebody takes over the development of Natron, the ability to read metadata is probably not going to be added anytime soon. And the latest update from that was January 2020. So unfortunately, I don't have a solution for you there. However, most DCCs like Houdini, Maya will have some way to control the exposure of a node based on metadata. So it should be a trivial exercise to make this same adjustment.